Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. And my guests tonight are the founders of Kwento Comics, mother-daughter team, Cecilia and Waverley Lim. Their book so far is The Mask of Haliya, which I read the first 9 issues today and enjoyed quite a bit. Hello, how are you doing? I guess I started
Yeah.
reading it yesterday. I finished it today.
Hopefully it was an easy, fun read.
It was a fun read. It was a fun read. So, how are you guys doing tonight?
We are well, and we thank you for inviting us on your podcast at 22 Panels. We're
I
very excited to
I
be here, actually.
I love talking comics with anybody and everybody. So that's not to make you feel less special. It's to make it clear that, like, if you say, "Hey, I want to talk comics," I'll probably fit you into the podcast.
That's awesome.
So you're welcome to come back. I don't even know you yet, and you're welcome to come back.
We
Thank
might take you
you.
up on that offer, so you have to be careful, Ted.
No, I don't have to be careful at all. I like talking comics. So, I want to start at the beginning here because, I read a little bit about the history of the company. You're wanting to highlight Asian and Pacific Islander voices, in particular female voices, and that's what your staff is. Cecilia, you seem to have already had careers elsewhere, and Waverly, you just graduated as an acting student. So my first question is, why comics? And you better have a good answer.
Actually, the answer is quite lengthy, so I hope
I like that even better.
for the readers, we're going to go on a journey. 2018, as you mentioned, my daughter is an actress. We flew out to LA to pursue her acting career. And, we were all gung ho. We had an agent, we had a manager, and Waverly was ready to go in all these auditions. But through that year in 2018, we saw that there weren't a whole lot of auditions for Waverly. And, Waverly jump in at any point in time. And but we noticed there wasn't a lot of auditions, and we kept asking, so where are all the roles for somebody that looked like Waverly, Asian American teen? And unfortunately, they all said, well, there's not a lot of roles for her. And we did notice that, there were either sidekick roles, the nerdy Asian math kid, or the ninja assassin. And we
I'm certain occasionally
asking,
both.
yes, and occasionally both. And we kept asking, how do we change this for all these young actresses, actors who are in their entertainment space? And they said, well, it starts with the writers. You have to have the
Definitely.
story. And so Waverly and I got together, and we said, you know what? Let's move this along. Let's see if we can create some stories and, show young Asian girls as the lead character in a number of different types of movies, not just superhero, but, a romance or a horror. And that was kind of the start of how why we started Kwento, and how we developed looking into comics as the genre that we were going to use.
I'm gonna correct you, even though I
Not
want to
genre,
bet medium.
medium. We were gonna, yes, and thank you for that. Comics is a
I'm going to
medium.
try
It's not
really
really
hard not to correct you. This is literally what I told my wife. I don't want to be the white guy teaching Asian women about comics. That's my biggest fear tonight.
yeah, no, I misspoke.
I say all
Definitely,
education is welcome. I tell
yes,
everybody
yes.
that we were not part of this community prior to starting this, and luckily everyone's embraced us with pretty open arms for the most
That's
part.
good.
And so I'm always willing to take pointers and learn more about it from other people as well.
I mean, what I will say, just on a surface, it was a quick read, but I noticed your comics got better every issue. So it's clear that you're a student of the media, you're students of the medium.
I mean, we are Asian women after all. We will be perfectionists in any category that we end up in.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that long. You can go back to your story, Cecilia.
No, you're absolutely right,
That's my
Ted.
one big thing is comics are a
Yeah,
medium. Superheroes are a genre, comics are a medium.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right. And so, as a medium, you can put anything in that. It's a blank canvas, really.
I
And so, yes,
regularly call it the perfect medium because it's limited only by the writer and artist's imagination.
So that was our biggest thing, Tad, is that we thought, all right, how are we going to get more Asian American stories out there, more stories where women are not just, one thing, but there's nuance and levels to our characters. And when we were reading about Filipino mythology, which is kind of something that we always were really interested in tackling, my mom was a really big mythology fantasy lover her entire life. The mythology was so vibrant that we were like, we could do a short story, we could do a book, we could do, a short film and, have it circulate through the film festival circuit and then that be the end of that. But we wanted to create something a little bit more long lasting, something more impactful that we could, carry on, that, fit in multiple different, I guess, communities, there's so many different audiences and people who love comics. So many audiences I feel like haven't been even introduced to comics still.
Oh God,
Right?
yes.
And so we just
The
thought,
librarians are working really hard on that.
and you know what I
I,
will say that bless the LA Public Library for taking all of our books into all their spaces. I see them show up now in the convention space as well. And I think that's really awesome is that I wish that comics were pushed on me a little bit more as a kid because now kids with, social media and everything going on, I think comic books are a really great platform to get literacy back up in general. So, and like you said, you're an educator. So I think it's kind of perfect meld.
I always take it that step further. Comics are the only medium that you have to use both sides of your brain. You have to interpret how the words work with the pictures. You can't passively read a comic. So I actually I fall into the camp that think they're not just a road to literacy, but they're their own literacy and an equally vital one. Because I mean, I just looking at your comics, um, the way you balance being a modern Philippine American girl, woman, mother, all of the above, with the older mainland culture, and then mix in the magic and folklore would make your head spin in prose. And if you were trying to make a movie, they would want you to cut out part of it because you can't. You can sit with a comic page. You can let it sink in. With a movie, you have to keep moving.
Right.
Have to have the beginning, middle, and end.
So to tell this story the way that you've been, I mean, you have to have your beginning, middle, and end in comics too, but rather than, I mean, I always like to talk about the passage of time as something that comics can do in a way that no other medium can do. Like read a comic book version of Moby Dick, and you don't need the 200 pages of almost nothing happening to get that sense of boredom and whatnot. It can be done on a page or two just by having the lighting change on a panel that's otherwise the same. You can get that feeling of, but then go read 50 pages of action scene in One Piece, and you know that like 20 seconds worth of action can be dissected.
Absolutely. Comics give you the ability to play with all of those different conventions, which
exactly.
is why it so fun.
And you have been with with Mask of Haliya. Again, I mean, is somebody who through having this podcast and talking to more people has started to dissect comics more than I ever did. I was immediately struck because I knew enough of your history that I didn't know what to expect in the first issue. I'm sitting there going, are they going to know how comic storytelling works? Is it going to be just panels, which you can do great? I mean, the Hernandez brothers are among the greatest comic creators ever, and they do a lot of eight or nine panel pages. So you can do great storytelling without dynamic panels. And likewise, you can have dynamic panels and not actually tell a story with them. So right out of the gate, I saw that you were balancing the flow of the story and the action and the flashbacks in an impressive way. But it seemed like you discovered that there's an art to lettering around issue 4 or 5. And I don't mean that
good,
I don't mean
Tad.
that as a slam.
Yeah, no.
No, I am highly impressed, Tad, with your
Yes.
dissecting skills, and I
Yes.
love the thoughtful conversation around this, actually.
Yeah, no. You're spot on, Tad, because we, we were learning along the way, right? And
Yeah.
Even our other team too. I mean, we hired a writer who had worked in film and television before, because although Cease and I didn't know a lot about the medium and we were learning about it and creating in it for the first time and trying to be students of it, the most important thing is that we wanted it to feel like the other mediums that we love, like film, like television, pulling from other conventions of storytelling that we love and seeing how we can meld that in with comic books. And as you said, as the issues went on, we learned a lot along the way in production, in the storytelling, in the development of it all, how we were going to piece these worlds together between the pre-colonial storyline and modern day, along with the mythology aspect of it all. So yes, absolutely. We were students, and I think we still are like sponges every single day. I mean, it took us our first issue 2 years to complete just issue 1, and now we're down to about, we can get an issue done in a little bit, I don't know, 2.5 months to 3.5 maybe.
Okay.
Which for I know it sounds like a long time, but for indie,
no, it doesn't. I mean, if people are only used to Marvel DC,
right,
then sure, it feels like a long time. But they've been an oiled machine, or at least kind of oiled machine for
decades,
almost 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And B, sometimes their comics are the worse for it. Really, I mean, right now and if you guys haven't read this book, you should check it out. We're reading a book called Monstrous for our monthly or our weekly episode. Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda, and they put out 6 issues a year.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the artwork for Monstrous is just amazing.
They'd never dream of, for that matter, I've become friends with Shelley Bond, and she talked about the first time she hired. Shelley's amazing.
She's the best. She's like my comic godmother, comic convention godmother.
I love to hear that, because that means I don't even have to tell you to go pick up her editing books. You probably already have them.
Yes, we do. And it is brilliant, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely. But I remember,
and in digital.
Right. I remember her talking about the first time she hired J.H. Williams, and everybody is like, oh, you'll never manage to keep him on schedule, blah, blah, blah. And she called him up and she's like, so tell me, how long is it going to take you to get an issue done? And he's like, I can get it done in a month. No. How long is it going to take you to get an issue done your way and know that you can get it done the way you want it to look? He's like, 6 or 7 weeks. She's like, that's what I needed to know. So I'm gonna have a fill-in issue here, and I'm gonna have a fill-in issue there, and I'm gonna have a fill-in issue there. So you will always have the time you need to tell this story, and we'll just have interludes.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the one thing that we've learned along the way, Tad, is just trying to figure out how the whole process works.
yeah.
At one point in time, Waverly and I were so stressed because we were trying to get done with issue 5 for San Diego Comic-Con, and we literally had 2 teams working on 4 and 5 together, which I
Right.
don't recommend. Um, that was a
So
learning
sometimes
experience.
you got to learn by trying.
Yes, yes. We thought we could do it, and we did do it, but
We did do it.
I think I got a lot more white hairs along the process. So
I can't see
that
any
was,
of them.
oh,
I
they're
mean,
there.
They're
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 there.
this is white
dyed.
hair. I mean, I've got grandchildren, so I'm allowed to have white hair.
No
I had all the
way.
white hair before the grandchildren, but
So funny. Yeah,
um,
absolutely. Trying to figure out how to get all the artists and scheduling. But that was
And also
definitely
just
something
finding
we've
out our
learned.
art style and what worked for
yeah.
us as well. That was something new for the first time, and how
So,
to convey
so
that.
this actually it leads me to another question I had, because you have the most interesting credits page of any comic I've ever read. I don't actually know who does what. Until we get to like flatter, colorist, and letterer, I'm sitting there going, I'm counting 3 writers, I'm counting 2 to 3 artists, and I assume that on some level means that there's a different division of labor than there might be in a lot of comics. I can sometimes figure it out. I think you've got a couple issues where you call somebody a background artist rather than and that reminds me of how I hear, haven't actually had a mangaka on or anybody that truly understands how manga works, because I'd like to, because like they put out 20 pages a week and I sit there going, you do what?
Yeah, we've kind of instituted the whole background artwork so that when we're in a time crunch, we can, just pull those scenes and reuse
Okay.
things and just put filters on them, and having like the background for us done early on in our
Okay.
concept art phase helps us just move faster through the whole story.
And,
So
I
yeah,
and
we
never understood how on other comic books you just saw one writer and one artist. That is such a labor. I mean, it's a labor of love regardless,
oh,
but
absolutely.
I found that so impressive. And Cease and I are quite fast and furious, as some people have said. I mean, we're on volume 2 and we just hit 3 years at Kwento. So
Right.
not too shabby, but again, Cease and I, we really wanted to show the community that, we are not just one and done or two and done
Right.
issues and you're never going to see us again. We really wanted to show that we have this really, really fantastic epic saga that we created and we want to share it with
Well, and
fans.
I
We're
see that
working really hard.
you're also now teasing a new book, at least
Yes, we are.
when I look through the team. So
Yes.
that's even more exciting.
And so we figured that rather than, just have one person kill themselves over, the labor, that, splitting it up and making it super collaborative would hopefully work in our favor as far as the production process of things went. So
I mean, it seems to. Like how I mean, we live in an era where I can't tell you the number of times I've had artists and writers like introduce themselves face to face for the first time on the show. They've only like emailed or talked on the phone before
Oh,
that.
wow.
It's like here's our virtual hello. Now I can put a face to the so I mean, how much in terms of collaboration are you working in like a local setting where you can have like a writer's room type setup where people are really talking to each other and whatnot, and how much of it is the Slack channel and the emails and whatnot?
The above, but mostly for us, it's a Discord, Facebook Messenger, emails, texts, and we have a global
Zoom
team. So
meetings.
Yeah,
Zoom
Zoom
meetings.
meetings. So we have a global team, and so our head writer, she's in LA. Our
Okay.
editor now is in New York. And once the writing is done, we usually have one big kickoff meeting, a big Zoom kickoff meeting, where
or the issues.
yeah, per issue, where the writers, the artists, everybody gets in, we walk through the issue, and then people can ask questions. And so once that gets kicked off, it's pretty much the editor that's working, and Waverly and I working directly with the artist. And so once the script is finalized, it goes into concept art phase, then storyboarding, penciling with one particular artist. Then that gets handed off to another artist who does our inks, and then coloring and flatting goes to another, and then lettering goes to another. So yeah, it's just a a typical comic book process.
That's a
but
relatively similar assembly line. But
the problem
because we
is you're
don't. Oh, sorry, Cease.
no, I was just gonna say, but what's the only thing that's different is the files are going back and forth across the world. So our
Exactly.
letterer is in Canada, and our storyboard artist is in Texas, and then our inker
line
is in
artists
the
and colorists are in the
Philippines.
Philippines.
Yeah, so
yeah, I was about to say, like, I've had Joe Kelly and Ken Nimura on a couple of times, and we always have to schedule those carefully because Joe's in New York and Ken's in like rural Japan. So so it's not that different to have to go all over the world.
It was
no,
really
it's not. But
important that we had some of our team members based in the Philippines. Us as being Philams, of course, we've been to
Right.
the Philippines and visited, but they can speak so much more better to the landscape and the authenticity of what it looks like being there than we can, of course. And so that was really important that we just try to find as much authentic elements as possible to make
Well,
it feel
and
like that.
that leads to a story related question, and I apologize if I'm going all over the place. I'm a little autistic. Well, there's no such thing as a little autistic. I'm autistic, a little ADHD. I go all
We can
the
jump
questions
around
pop
with
into
you.
my
That's
head.
how my
Yeah.
mind works
Okay.
too.
yeah,
Cool.
we're right there
As
with
long
you,
as
Tab.
hopefully everyone listening can follow along.
We've got 500 some odd episodes in the can, so like the people who listen should be used to it by now. Hi, Mom. Hi, John. Hi, Britt. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Tab Mom.
That's Hi Tad's mom.
She's probably listening in the car on the way to her work at a library, and she just said hi back because that's what she does when she hears.
If she works
So
at a library, make sure she picks
does.
up both volume 1 and 2.
There you go, Mom. Mask of Haliya volume 1 is out. Volume 2, do we know when the Kickstarter starts yet?
Kickstarter is soon to start. Right now, we're in
Okay.
pre-launch phase.
Okay.
But we should have volume 2 out by San Diego Comic-Con
All right.
for sure.
Mom, I'll keep you posted. But that was the first decision that caught my attention was that you said it in the Philippines, and forgive me for forgetting the name of the town. I'd forget my children's names if they
Cebu.
behave themselves.
Cebu.
What?
Cebu.
Cebu. Which isn't, I don't know the size of the town, but it's not one of the towns that immediately comes to mind. For those of us who are white Americans and don't know our geography at all. It seems at least somewhat smaller, if not necessarily rural.
Yeah, Cebu is
Cebu
actually
really interesting when you go
Yeah.
there because you get both elements if you want. You could find slightly smaller Manila-esque scenery in Cebu while still getting all the rural island hopping, super fun things in the Philippines that you expect to do.
So like Springfield.
yes, like Springfield.
Like Springfield.
I didn't know you could go island
Exactly.
hopping in Springfield.
Well, except for
Well,
the island hopping part.
Yeah,
Maybe like St. Louis,
there you go.
where you at least
There
have
you
the
go.
river.
It's a big city, but feels like a smaller town. But
Okay.
but yeah, Cebu is not as big of a metropolis as Manila. But this was a decision that we wanted to pay homage to, where my family was from, the Visayas region of the
Okay.
Philippines. And we also just wanted to kind of shake things up. Everybody in the Philippines usually does a story that's in Manila, and we just didn't
Right.
want to do that.
Well, I appreciate that. So, but the real question was like, you guys are Filipino Americans. I mean, Cecilia you grew up in the Philippines, or when did you
No,
emigrate?
I was born in Springfield, Illinois.
Okay, see,
Yeah,
so
no,
you're both Filipino Americans who have only visited the
Everything you're
Philippines.
getting at, Tad, is absolutely right. We
So
took
my
a
question
hard
is, why
approach
did you
to
make
just
the
about
decision
everything.
to set the story in the Philippines? I
ah,
mean,
that's a great question. And it
yeah,
goes to the fact that we wanted to tell a story that we knew, and the protagonist, even though the story of the Mask of Haliya is set in the Philippines, it's about a Filipino American teenager who goes
right.
back to the Philippines to learn about her heritage and her ancestry. Something that both Waverly and I have
Because mom moved
experienced.
her back. I
Yes.
Yes.
mean, I do love the mom, and I'm hoping that you have a slightly stronger relationship. I mean, they have I don't want to say it's a weak relationship. They have an interesting relationship. I hope your relationship isn't as interesting in the painful ways as, as, your, as your protagonist
Well,
and her
Tad,
mother.
it's a mother-daughter business. So in every mother-daughter relationship, there's always things not nearly as strained as the one
Right.
in the Mask of Haliya, of course. But we did want to speak on just some of the, I mean, authentic
Yeah.
relationship family dynamics that happen between Phil-Ams and Filipinos, the ways in which we migrate and immigrate in and out of the country, between the US. We will be touching on more of that as the story develops and why
Right.
everybody was placed, and moved to different places. But we wanted to tackle the story that us as Phil-Ams know, which a lot of people don't go to the Philippines until there is, unfortunately, a passing of a Lola, Tito, Tita in the Philippines. I know for me, I didn't go for the first time until I was 6 when my Lola passed. And I didn't really go again until my adult life when I graduated UCLA. And my mom took me because we had artists and family to visit and all of that fun stuff. And then again, actually, the prior year when my Lolo passed. So it's an experience that us as Phil-Ams know very well. And there unfortunately is such a disconnect being Phil-Am here, especially when you're first, second, third, as it goes on, because we are so assimilated to the country. We were colonized by one point by the US and by Spain.
Right.
So it has created all these identity, ideas and topics, I guess, in our own community, and just what that means for us moving forward, and what that unison identity is as a community across the globe, really. And so that was something that we also wanted to tackle with this story. And for me, I know how important it was, and I hear other Balikbayans talk about it, which is Balik means return. Balikbayan we use as a term to mean when you return home to the motherland. And that's a really special journey. And whether you're Filipino or not, anyone who has immigrated from somewhere else to the US, going back to your homeland is such a special and important journey that I think everybody should do and take at one point, to visit those family members that you've never met across the globe, because it really does inform your identity and who you are, when you come back, for sure. And you rep it, I guess, a different way, and you just have a better
Right.
understanding of yourself, I feel like.
I mean, it seems like in writing this and putting together this story, you have um, done various research and or looking into your culture and whatnot. What have been the discoveries that excited you the most, inspired you the most? I never know the right way to phrase this question, because maybe they horrified you the most, but what things that you didn't know before you started this journey that you know now are you?
So for me, I know that I wanted to introduced the world to Filipino creatures of the night. Forget about werewolves and vampires. Filipino creatures, mythological creatures, are super, super scary. And that's because all our grandmothers and aunts and uncles used to, scare us with these stories growing up. And these are horrific creatures. And I had a hard time when I was a kid or growing up, finding stories like that, compiled in one book. And on this journey, we've been able to do a lot more research on the different monsters and the different deities and just the whole journey into the different types of mythology to explore. So for us, the mythology was really cool.
How they used mythology to explain supernatural
Exactly.
events that happened back in the day. Their explanation for the lunar eclipse is what the mythology of the Mask of Haliya is actually based off of Bakunawa and Haliya. The short story of the mythology is that Bakunawa was a Dewata of the sea, and he longed to possess the beauty of the 7 moon children in the sky. So one by one, he started eating the moon children until the creator god, sometimes called Bathala, sometimes called Kaptan. Again, the Philippines has very many linguistic groups and dialects throughout the country, so that made the research all the more fun. But the long story short, the creator god stepped in and saved Haliya, the last lunar moon goddess remaining. And every once in a while, Bakunawa will try to return and eat the last lunar moon child, Haliya. And that's why there's a lunar eclipse in the sky. So it was a really fun way to see how they had explanations for these events that they had no other way of explaining back in the day. And it was really empowering to be able to even find this research because, of course, you're an educator. I grew up in Florida. The education of Asian American culture in general and history was just so limited. I knew we existed from my Lolo and Lola's, all my grandparents' migration stories, but outside of that context, I didn't really see myself in the history books. It wasn't until I went to UCLA and I had to actively seek out those classes, Asian American studies, culture, women, Asian American women in history, and do that for myself. And so with Filipino mythology and research, so much of it had been lost in the war and through colonialism, and all those various historic things that we lost. And so it's empowering to be able to find.
There's a fantastic comic that I find myself bringing up pretty regularly called Wake, the hidden history of women-led slave revolts.
Wow.
That started out as like, I mean, it's written by a historian, and started out she was planning on writing a history, and it became a comic and part history, part autobio because of how hard it was to research, how much she had to read between the lines in the historic record, how sometimes the best records were at the insurance companies because go figure, they kept track of the slaves.
Yeah.
You had to have records if you wanted to collect on insurance. It's like, that's so morbid. But so what I mean, give me examples of what research has been like trying to wade through two rounds of colonialism in the Philippines, never mind that it was essentially the staging ground during World War II.
That doesn't get talked about with World War II ever. I mean, me and my mom, we love history. As you can see, I know people can't see the video, but my mom has a pamphlet of the war ends behind her, which was actually a pamphlet caught by my Lolo when he was 8 years old when the war ended.
Yes.
Okay.
The leaflet fell down.
Yes, they didn't have like internet back in the day, and they literally were putting leaflets
They haven't
down.
had internet forever? Don't tell my students at school that. They think it's weird when we talk about telephones that had cords.
So my dad was born in 1931, and they actually, and it was a small town that he grew up in, and they actually had the drummer, the guy that would come and drum and say, hey, we've got some news. And then everybody go to the town square and listen to the
And
news.
listen.
And then he would leave until the guy would bang the drum again saying that they've got news. But yeah, that this flyer back behind me, as you can see, it just says war ends, and they just like threw leaflets down just to
Right.
inform people. That was their form of
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough that in Southern California, we have a Philippine library down in like South Bay area, Mom. And
Philippine expressions.
Philippine expressions, and we were able to get a hold of some of the older mythology books. There's one book that's kind of like the Bible of Filipino mythology called the Soul Book, which we were able to get our digital copy of. But just again, trying to reach out to other Philippine mythological scholars and researchers. We had our own researcher as well. A lot of people also in the Philippines were super helpful. Our writer, Caitlin, actually took a research trip out to the Philippines and was able to get a hold of a few different scholars, which was really helpful. But we do say, while we've done an extensive amount of research, we, took liberties with different things, of course,
Of
because
course.
yes, because we are in a creative medium and all of that good stuff. But
Well, but I mean, also because to a certain extent, when you're talking mythology, when you're even talking history, liberties have already been taken. You
right.
know? So,
And
so
because
the spirit of the story matters as much or more than the details a lot of the time.
well, the Philippines has over 7,000 islands, and so just trying to get the names right for everything
And
was
over
was a struggle.
180 ethno-linguistic groups. So even the ways in which they have a name for one thing on one island versus another, and just a slight spelling change, and which one do we go with? I would drive myself crazy over that. I'm like, oh, but this island, but like we said again, we kind of have that description in the beginning, just that we did do that. And I think it's important still to say, and that people know, at least
Oh,
we did take the
absolutely.
time to do the research and everything. But
We
there's so much.
There's so much. So there was a lot of research done on the mythology side, but what I like a lot is some of the Easter eggy stuff that we put in to the
Well,
comics.
give
So
it away at least one of them.
okay, so
What's
this
your
is
favorite
for
Easter egg?
okay, I'll give you my favorite Easter egg, and that is on every cover of the Mask of Haliya is hidden a Bakunawa, which is our mythological sea serpent. So
Yeah, it's like
our
I'm going back
readers,
right now to
yeah,
the
so our
file.
readers need to pick up every floppy so they could find the Bakunawa that's hidden on every cover.
A moon-eating dragon, according
Yes.
to
Well, some
Wikipedia.
some of the Bakunawas are pretty easy to find, and some of them are a little harder to find on our covers.
What is the um in your logo? The the
Our sea serpent? Yes.
It's a sea serpent. See, I
Yes.
didn't want to call it a dragon because I felt like that was more European.
Yeah, it's actually a winged sea serpent. It's a sea
Winged sea
serpent that can
serpent.
fly.
But
Bakunawa
we do
loves
want to
to.
cover all Asian mythologies, and
Yes.
the Asian mythological dragon is prevalent in so many different stories and folklore. So we did
Yeah.
actually want to keep it generic just to kind of show that we want to be encompassing of all of the various Asian mythoses that we will hit along the way.
Yeah.
So you're gonna is that with Mask of Haliya, or are you speaking more of a goal for Kwento in general in terms of
Well,
trying to hit the multiple mythologies?
yeah, for Kwento in general, Cease likes to call it our KCU, our Kwento Cinematic Universe. And that's definitely something
How,
that
how about how about just get Kwento comic universe? So much more fun. I tease just because like I have students who find out that I have a comics podcast and like, "Oh, what'd you think of the Avengers movie?" And I'm like, comic, not movie, comic.
Yes.
Haven't seen the newest Avengers movie. Day, probably,
Yes.
maybe.
Kwento Comics universe. We have lots in store for other branches of stories that we'll tackle with different mythologies. So yes,
I
definitely
look
coming up, but
forward
it's in
to
our
it.
grand master plan
Grand master plan.
of world
Um,
domination of comics.
well, I mean, there's room for a lot more in comics, and there are a lot of creators out there.
That seems to be the general consensus that everybody's looking to, go back to the indie comics and see what's there, which
Well, I mean,
just been
indie
loving.
comics never went away.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, the beautiful thing about comics, I don't know if you guys, I hope you guys have also read Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics. It's another
Yes.
absolute Bible of the medium.
Hmm.
But like as Scott will say, all you need is a piece of paper, like folded into 8 pages, and you can make a comic. You know?
Absolutely.
Um, so
Well, I'm old
uh
enough to remember all the Sunday morning comics. I mean,
absolutely.
that was my favorite, reading The Phantom, and
Okay.
Prince Valiant and, Snoopy and, all those,
Have
Sunday comics. And I don't know, Waverly, if you've ever seen like the old Sunday papers with the comics. I mean, it used to be, just that's what I lived for on the weekends is
uh,
waiting for the
are
comics
you
page.
are you familiar with the Billy Ireland Cartoon Museum on the campus of Ohio State?
I've heard that that's there. And
They
keep in
they
mind, I went
have
to the University of Illinois, so me to step on Ohio State land is going to be tough. But
only for the comic museum.
I will have to make a journey, Ted,
Um,
on your recommendation.
I was blessed enough to get a backroom tour from Jeff Smith. Um, so I've held original Prince Valiant in my hands. I've held
Oh wow,
Peanuts in my hands. They have all of Calvin and Hobbes except for the pages that Bill Watterson gave to people because he's
really?
never
That's
sold
amazing.
anything. He's never sold anything, and he's an Ohio State alum. So, except for the pages that he gave as gifts, the rest of them are at Ohio State. Um, and they have Jeff Smith is the founder of what's called the Cartoons Crossroads, um, which is like an outdoor European style. Well, not outdoor, a town-wide European style convention where there's stuff at the Billy Ireland Museum, the Artist Alley type things, and most of the panels are at the public library. There are panels at the art museum, um, free for everybody. And like everybody from like the first year I went there, well, I've been there like 3 years now, but the first year I went there, Shelley and Philip Bond had a table next to students who'd literally stapled their comics together. And Dennis Kitchen was down and Raina Telgemeier was there, so they get like a little bit of everything. Which is something that you don't see at a lot of cons. You generally have your big C2E2, NYCC, San Diego type things that are the massive multimedia events. Um, and then you have your SPX cake, TCAF type things that are like the small press events. And then you have your zine events that I could list off a dozen of them and you wouldn't recognize any of them because I don't know any of the ones in Southern California or Florida, um, where like if Uncivilized or Silver Sprocket show up, they're the biggest, most well known people there. But at CXC, they kind of have everything. Um, so I recommend anybody in comics, you should go there at least once, just because you can get if you go to that con, you can get an absolute crash course on like everything available in American comics and generally some European and Asian as well. They've been bringing in mangaka in each of the last 3 years, that sort of thing. And now I'm just babbling, and you guys are being very nice and letting me babble. But we
We'll
should
have
get
to
back
put
to
that on
your
our
stuff.
list.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll
I'm
have to
taking
put that
notes
on our
here,
list.
Tad.
No, I love the dialogue and the conversation because, like I said, we are also still students and still sponges. So
Yeah.
I'm right there,
Um,
soaking it up there.
yeah, no, I
Soaking it up.
cannot recommend. I think this year's is in early October. I don't know if it's been locked in date wise because
Everyone wants to do a con in October.
well, I mean, with that one, they plan around. They have to plan around a weekend where Ohio State is on the road. Last year, it worked out really well. They planned around a weekend where Ohio State was at Michigan, so like half the town was gone. The comic people had almost free, and it's very nice because we get much cheaper rooms because they've got all the rooms necessary for football weekends, and the con's much smaller than a football weekend, and therefore it's like, please rent our rooms.
Well, we'll just add that in our on our October tour because typically we're
Yeah.
always on a tour in October. We had LA, San Francisco Book Fair, and Filipino Book Fair and New York Comic Con all back to back
Yeah.
weekends in October.
Every
So
once in a
we'll
while, they
hop over to
wind up the
Ohio.
same weekend as New York Comic Con. I know
Yeah.
this only because some of my friends get really frustrated when that happens because they enjoy CXC more, but they make more money in New York. So it's
Yep.
the balancing act.
There's always a
Um,
balancing act.
The
Agreed.
art,
so
the
so
business, right?
you guys do the con scene. What do you think about that side of the business? There's a love-hate relationship among most creators with cons.
Well, you've pretty
I
much
am a
nailed it.
proud member of that community. It is the most exhausting, but the most rewarding experience by the end of it. If you've seen us at a convention, anyone who's listening, you'll probably find us most notoriously for waving the Filipino flag at our booth. It's on our Instagram page and everything, but that's kind of our bat signal to the Filipinos and to the Asians. Hey, we're here, we're around, come check us out. But no, it's really cool because there's still so many people, of course, who haven't found out about us yet, and just even people in general who aren't Asian or women or necessarily part of the community, I guess. They are so excited to just see new publishers and see that there's new mythology to explore and different folklore out there. So we invite any and everyone to our booth. And the response has been really lovely from everybody that stops by. And it's really cool to be able to connect one-on-one with people because it's just an experience like no other, really. Everybody's there for comics. And like you said, Tad, comics, not
Comics.
movies, which is
Well, I
why
mean,
the strike was actually surprised. The year the strikes happened for film and television, was our first year at San Diego. And so it
yeah.
was great because it brought everyone back to the comics hall, which was nice.
Yeah,
I
no one
mean,
was there for movies.
right. One of my best friends writes television and writes comics, and he has more fun writing comics and gets his insurance from writing television. So, there's the balancing act because, that whole insurance thing is important when you've got
Yeah.
family.
Absolutely.
There's no
Um,
guide for navigating the convention space at all. I mean,
no.
doing the booth and trying to get your product in, load out, all of that
Well,
fun stuff.
and that was my question. Do you guys generally do like C2E2 is separated between Artist Alley and the booth? So do you generally get an Artist Alley table, or do you have a booth out with the other stuff? How do you
Actually,
generally set up?
have a small press booth.
Okay.
So, in any of the conventions, you'll more than likely see us in small press.
Okay.
That's
This is
uh,
possibly why I missed you at C2E2 because depending on where they put the small press booths, it's so
yeah.
much closer to the areas that I avoid like the plague just because I get very the listeners know that I'm shivering and getting very I like my personal space.
Yeah, so usually
Understandable. That's why I stay behind the booth for 3 days straight. I call it my
Yeah.
convention diet. I don't leave.
I get that too. I get that too. I always my first goal is always before I even get there, I've mapped out who are my friends here, what tables can I go seek out refuge if I just need to talk to somebody for a while.
That's a
But
good game
then,
idea, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then like I'm friends with Meredith McLaren, and I think it was last year. There was like 2 hours where she wasn't able to sell anything because the Chris Evans line went right by her booth and you couldn't get to her.
Well, you just sell at the people in line
Location.
then.
Well, I mean, she does great comics, but they're not necessarily the ones that go to Captain America
Fair
fancies.
enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, if you need to hide, Tad, you just come by our
I'll
booth.
keep that in
We got
mind.
space for you.
I'm also I've made a name for myself as the guy that I'll stand at your booth, and when somebody comes to like peruse your stuff, I'll sell it hard. So,
I love that, Tad. Oh my gosh, you're going to be my favorite.
Go.
You might not be able to leave our booth if that's the case.
well, I mean, we'll work it out. Um, because that's the other way that I deal with my own, on this podcast, I talk. When I'm teaching, I talk. I'm actually kind of shy. So, like thousands of people around me, I either need to find a reason to talk or a place to hide.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, we do the same thing. Our voices are pretty shot by the end of these conventions
Yeah,
because we are
I
just
think that
constantly
happens.
pitching and selling the thing.
That
But I think it's important for
that's
creators to do that when you have a product like that, because otherwise, how are people going to find you? I know people typically gravitate towards the bigger booths, and it's really on us indie creators to rope people in and share what our project is that was the labor of love.
Do you manage to slip around and network? Do you ever do panels? I mean, it
Yeah.
strikes me that you could bring the crew and do a Asian and Pacific Islander panel that that would be possibly as valuable as your entire time at the booth that may or may not be on the beaten path.
Yeah. Actually, we've done
Absolutely.
our fair share of panels. We've done a few panels at San Diego, WonderCon, and actually Waverly and I will both be at a panel in C2E2.
Ooh, which one?
Well, I don't have all the details, but we will definitely
Oh,
share with you as soon as we get
I'll
all
go
the
looking for it.
particulars.
But yes, please send details because that makes it even easier for me. But I game plan my C2E2. I'll find you if you forget to reach out to me. Um,
I think
uh, what do you enjoy about panels?
Panels that I enjoy, and Waverly's done a few as well. Just getting to share the stage with folks that are kind of doing the same thing. We're all
Yeah.
learning. We're all trying to get our stories to be seen and heard and read at the same time. And just actually learning from the other panelists is fun. Um, and seeing people who come to hear us talk and hopefully we're inspiring them. That's always so much fun.
Yeah, I love when I know panels always end up going overtime and everyone's rushing out for the next one. But whenever they leave an opportunity for the audience to ask questions is
Yeah.
also my favorite part, because I always like talking with new creators, and whether they're a writer or an artist or want to edit, any of the above, or just find their way or find out how they can get involved in comics even if they aren't any of the above. There are so many different avenues to explore and get in there. And I always like to say I didn't come from necessarily being a part of the medium and the community when I first joined. And so it really is something that anybody can pick up,
Yeah,
even
it's an incredibly welcoming medium.
very, very welcoming. Yeah. And it's
I
Absolutely.
fun.
I have been shocked at the level at which, as a podcaster, I'm treated as a member of the community rather than like some dude that like is the weird fanboy or something.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, it's so true though, and
It's true.
that's the connection that I love seeing at these
Yeah.
conventions, is that we're all just there to help each other and figure it out. I did find the name of it. We will be at C2E2's Female Comic CEOs panel.
Oh, I
Thank you,
was
Waverly,
looking
for
at that
finding
one
that.
already
Perfect.
because there are thankfully more and more of those.
Yes, we need it. We need to see it. Well, that was my thing too, is that growing up, at least for me, like early 2000s, comics was very much like a boys' club thing too. So I didn't really
Well,
think I found much.
what infuriates me the most about the fact that comics is still too much of a boys' club is like the two most influential people in like monthly comics and the way they look today are Karen Berger and Shelley Bond. So it's like everything we love at comics came out of two women.
Okay.
You know, um, Marie Javins is running DC right now. You know, drawing a blank on her name, but the you know the higher up at DC for most of the 90s, Jeanette Kahn, you know, ran DC. Diana Schutz was the editor in chief at Dark Horse during the time that they made, you know, the number of women who have made massive contributions,
Yeah.
not just to writing and drawing comics, but like to taste making. It just drives me up the wall when anybody starts talking about comics should be a men's medium because I'm like, are you like completely devoid of any knowledge of history?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, we've always been there, and that was something that I learned through doing this. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, here we are. The
Ann
same way I was like,
Nesenti, Marie Severin.
right, right.
There are a lot of women in comics, and
Yeah.
if you look at our artwork, it's not the the typical Marvel DC type.
And
Uh,
that's
you
not a
know,
bad thing.
yeah. So our women are drawn differently.
Right.
Not all of
I tell
us
You
look.
everyone,
mean
Tad, when I
not all women are 6'6" with double D cups that never ever ever sag?
Well, I love a
and
good
an
She-Hulk,
invisible
but
waist practically.
Well, I mean, She-Hulk's a whole different thing. She's like 7 feet tall, and you
yeah,
know.
true.
Um, so I'm because you're slightly newer to the medium, um, and because I know we're starting to run up on time, I'm gonna ask my closing question in two different ways. My standard closing question is: tell me something you love, preferably a comic. If not a comic, preferably a storytelling medium. If absolutely you can't come up with that, I'm okay with visual art or music too, but that not enough other people know about and you want them to so you can talk to them about it. But I'm going to have this sub question here, particularly because you're talking about having met people at cons, met people in the business on panels, etc. Um, tell me somebody's comic that you or some either their comic or a creator that you've discovered, gotten to me, whatever, that just made you go, oh, I didn't know comics could do that. I like this medium even more.
Oh, okay. So, comics is so ever evolving. And
Absolutely.
what I love about comics is that, well, when I was growing up, the mature content was not quite there. And I feel like
Well, I mean, the undergrounds.
the undergrounds were,
I'm
but
talking to Dennis Kitchen again tomorrow night. He had some.
but I feel like now the floodgates are open, right? And
Right.
I think you get a whole host of the whole spectrum of content for comics has broken wide. It's not just superheroes. It's just not good against evil. It's a whole host of other storytelling. So, for me, the one, I guess, comic series that kind of opened my mind to some of the mature drawing was Saga, to be honest with you.
New issue comes out this Wednesday.
Okay.
I
Well, thank
bought
you.
Love
Compendium
Saga.
1 and I'm getting through it.
Oh
And
my God. I
Lin-Manuel
love Saga.
Miranda read it, so I was like, okay, I'm there. And
Yeah,
my
yeah,
mind
yeah,
is still blown.
One of the ones
yeah.
that was just like, ooh, that's interesting. When I first read it and first started looking at the artwork, I'm like, ooh, you can do that,
Uh,
huh?
I actually I write a column for American Nature Presents, which is the uh Santos Sisters, which is one of the independent comics. They do like a black and white criticism slash comics. I was gonna say quarterly because I think the first two issues have come out almost quarterly, but I don't think they've put a timeline on it. It's like whenever they decide to put it out. But I wrote about Saga expanding my version or my idea of what comics could be for issue one. So I totally understand that.
Yeah,
I'm
when I
gonna,
first go ahead, Waverly.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say when I first started delving into Saga, I immediately was like, Waverly, you have to look at this. You have to read this.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
mind is like flipped on its side every single time I open a page of that book.
Well, I mean, Saga is a master class in
Yeah,
comic storytelling.
yeah. I'm gonna take it a different way. I always like to support all the other API and Filipino creators out there. We're always there in a community. We are going to pitch one day to San Diego Comic-Con a Sorry Sorry store, which is like our Filipino, like a bodega, grocery store, if you will, with snacks and whatnot. Because there's so many creators coming up. I mean, we have a Filipino creator in New York, Bayani, Lumpia with a Vengeance is by Patricio. And I think it's really important to note that just because you might have creators from, the same ethnicities and different and same communities, is that our stories come out so different. And that's kind of what I learned from picking up comics from our own community is that while we share in our similar unique identity, that our stories and our voices are still so different. And I think they all should be celebrated in their own right, that we have lots of stories to tell and we aren't a monolith, and different creators have different spins and takes on even the pre-colonial historical stuff and the mythology and the way that in which we've been able to spin and take the mythology and make it our own, that fits the story. So that's kind of my answer, is that take bets
But
on lots of different
that's
creators.
so hard, so much harder for me to put one link for people to go buy stuff in the show notes.
I will send you a list to all of them.
That works. I mean, I'm way behind on show notes anyway, but because teaching world, these things get in the way. Craziness, But yeah, no, I enjoyed the book. I'm looking forward to issue 10. Um, I'm looking forward to the trades and putting them in people's hands, and I'll definitely swing by at C2E2. Like I said, I literally got my email today saying that I had officially gotten my creator, or well, my not my creator badge, my professional badge, because I'm not willing to pay full price. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I spend too much money with actual creators while I'm there. I can't spend all the money to get in. So Waverly, Cecilia, it has been um a great pleasure. I'm looking forward to reading more work from you. I hope that you stay in the business a long time, even if you wind up acting, Waverly. That doesn't mean you have to stop making comics.
Of course
Ethan
not.
Hawke writes comics.
See, there you
There you
go.
go. Yeah, still, Tad, thank you so much for having both Waverly and I on your
It
podcast.
it's
This
it's
was
been
a
a
lot of
blast. You're
fun.
delightful. Um, Tyler will probably get the episodes up soon. I'll try to remember to shoot you an email when they're up. Otherwise, I know I'll shoot you an email once I finally actually get the show notes done. And I have spring break next week, and it's one of my goals to actually get caught up again. We'll see. But probably in the next few days. That's generally Tyler's turnaround time to make certain that everything is edited properly, and by properly I mean like I'm not louder than you. We don't do cuts and whatnot unless you ask us to. Um, so for 22 panels, this has been Waverley and Cecilia Lim of Kwento Comics, and we will see you after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22panelspodcast.